Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. I have been working the numbers like crazy, trying to work out what kind of a factory I will need to do my phase 4 deliveries. And several things have become clear over the last few days. It has been several days working on this. I've been evaluating all of my alternate recipes. I have been looking at the quantities, and I've been looking at what if I just let the factory run overnight to turn out the goods. And what I noticed was that I can do a decent factory that will take 8 hours to satisfy the delivery. The quantities are fairly low. Well, low quantities, scattered factory. This is a job for drones. I've been looking for an excuse to use drones. Right. So I put together a little experiment. Actually, I'm headed away from it right now. In drone delivery. Can I bring up the map while I'm in here? No, I can't. There we are. So if I bring up drone ports and drones. Now, I had the original prototype here where I ran my fuel back and forth. So fuel-based drones. And I looked at that and I was not happy with the amount of fuel that the drones were using for that short run. I realized we are spending significant time just hovering, doing the landing animation, doing the takeoff animation. So I set up a longer run between my main base and my aluminum factory. And these drones are making the trip just fine. I mean, it takes them over 4 minutes to do the round trip. But they're moving stuff. They can move, they carry 9 stacks, so they get about a little over 2 stacks per minute transferred one way. That's cool. So 2 stacks is not bad, especially if you're moving concrete at 500 per stack. If you're moving something at 50 per stack, it's less impressive. But I really want my drones to move faster, to deliver things quicker. It's still going to be fairly low quantity. I'm still going to think in terms of 2 or 3 stacks per minute. And I began to think, where can I put in a turbofuel factory? Now, I'd planned one in here. For turbofuel, I do need sulfur. In fact, you can see in the upper left-hand side, I've already laid out what I'm going to be building. There are alternate recipes for turbofuel. Some of them require quite a lot of compacted coal, which requires a large amount of coal and sulfur. And I looked for the one that used the minimum amount of sulfur because sulfur is just not there on the map. It's just not there. I am going to head up to the northeast up here. And let me see if I've really got my sources there. Yes, indeedy. There is pure sulfur here. There is pure sulfur here. And there is some oil here. So I can do turbo fuel. So my turbo fuel is basically, where's my sulfur? That's where I've got sulfur, and most of that's in pure nodes. And I've used one of them. We also had some coal down here, or some oil down here. We're using the sulfur. We've claimed the oil, but we're not using it yet. So I could, in theory, do some turbo fuel here, but I really want to reserve this lake for my aluminum factory. Anyway, the experiment I did, and I'm at the wrong end to show you the results of it, was to move stuff from the main base to this drone port, and then it comes off into the container, and it goes out this drone port and goes back to the main base. So I have one drone moving it one way, one drone moving the other, and it worked. It worked fairly well. But that's not what we're here to look at. We want to be doing drones that have turbo fuel, not just fuel. Let's turn off the resources. I'm going to put a map marker down here. This is going to be where I put my turbo fuel power. And the icon is going to be, I'm going to use a drone icon because it's going to be turning out, sure, electric power, lots of electric power, but it's also going to be turning out some packaged turbo fuel. You can see there I'm going to be turning out 133 packaged turbo fuel per minute. If that's not enough, I will create a specialty power plant that just turns out packaged turbo fuel. And that will have to be a balance of plastic for the containers and fuel to go into it. So we'll have to look at that. But yeah, I wanted to get some power going as well. So this is really a power plant. What I did was I balanced out. Let's go over the plan here. I said I'm going to build 400 turbo fuel, which is what you can get out of 300 oil. So we build the turbo fuel, and that all takes care of it. Well, we've got a bunch of resin, so I turn all the resin into plastic, all the plastic into containers, and then I package up all the fuel I can with that plastic, and the rest of it I feed into generators for power. I could, in fact, do residual rubber, and then turn all that rubber into plastic, and I could double my turbo fuel here. In fact, why not? Let's do that. Residual rubber. Recycled plastic. That uses fuel, not turbo blend fuel. I would have to save out some of my diluted fuel. Let's not do that. There. If it turns out we need more packaged fuel, if I want to get a ton of drones going, I may just make this an entire drone-based system. We can look at doing a version of this that just does fuel for canisters and turbo blend fuel and have it all come out basically by saying build me all of the packaged turbo fuel and see what that comes up with. But we're not doing that right now. We're building a balance right now. This is our seed factory to get us working. We want it large, we want it infinite, we want it highlighted, and we want it red. So that's where we're putting our turbo fuel factory, way over there. Oh, let's look on our map. I believe I have a cropped browser available. Hey, how about it? It's even all set up and ready to go. So this is looking at where I want to go. So I have an impure node and an impure node. These each give me 150 per minute if I overclock the extractors. And here's a normal node that'll give me 300. So I could build 2 copies of this turbo fuel power plant if I wanted to. Let's put Emacs on top of it. There we go. So this much oil builds 2 copies of the turbo fuel plant, and we have all the sulfur we could need for it. So we could even take this sulfur, once we've got this going, I could take this sulfur and route it down to the more oil in the west here. Pure. We've got a ton of oil over here in the west, so we will be taking advantage of that for power and turbo fuel and plastic and rubber and all of that good stuff. But yeah, there is our sulfur. And I think this is close enough that I can do a drone right from day one. In fact, I can pick up fuel from the depot to initially power the drone until we get turbo fuel going. So there's that. Let's continue our trek out to... Hold on, there we go. Continue our trek to the turbo power area. I don't have mass transit going out there, so bear with me for a bit. We're going to be enjoying our traversal across the world. Actually, I think I have some power lines heading that direction. We head west from this base and pick them up. I think the drones look cool. I want to use drones. I actually like the drones better than the trains, not just because they're easier to set up. So the trains are going to be required when we're moving big quantities around. But if we're talking a couple of stacks a minute, then I am perfectly happy with the drones. So we haven't put power lines out this direction. I am going to do this. Because the big power lines don't provide power for the hover pack. And here we are. Here's our little exploration set of power lines that we set up. We can see them trailing off into the distance there. Hey, Ray. I'm glad I marked the location like that so it shows up on my HUD, because I would have thought it would be over that direction more. And we just kind of keep going the direction we want to go until we run out of power. Let's see, we're headed off that direction. I think I see power poles down there. Yeah, there we go. Whee! As long as I'm above the power poles, I'm good. You can see where I detoured to pick up more disk drives. So we went through here. We're headed that way. I don't even know if I have power in that direction. Let's go up to the top. And I may need to lay out some more power doohickeys. Yeah, this lake, I definitely remember setting up lots and lots of water pumps in this lake. So that geyser is new in 1.0. Ooh, a purple slug that I neglected to pick up. How did I miss that one? We are headed over there. You can see where the mark is on that plateau. I have power down that direction. Let's go get it. We kind of explored all over the place here. So this is the neighborhood. And now I need to find the actual oil nodes, which are probably the next level down. So we're going to open this up here. If I turn on resources when I'm zoomed in, it's not too bad. Okay, so he's up there. We've got 1, 2, 3. Let's find the one node first. This guy is out this direction. Oil. Okay. Ooh. Got a Mercer sphere that I hadn't picked up yet. Cool. Looking for oil. Right there. How about that? So here we have our oil that we're going to be using for our turbo fuel. And we are going to need to have some water. Let's see. Okay, come on, come on. So can I get a decent, let's do there. And production, oil extractor, there we go. Now you normally run at 120. I am going to overclock the heck out of you, get you to run at 300. We will need, what else do we need here? Fuel power, is this the one? This is the one. There we go. So we're going to need 300 crude oil, 200 water, and 200 sulfur for this. And how much am I building here? I'm building, let's see, 9 blenders, 2 more blenders, 2 refineries, 10 more refineries. This is a really, really big build. So I think what I'm going to do is pump it all up to the top here. And we are going to put the build here. So we're going to be pumping the oil across the landscape. While I am here, let's drop our extractors on these guys as well. These are also on the ground. You are going to be here. Need to start putting stuff on my hotbar. I no longer need him on 9. Oil extractors, we'll put him on 9 for the moment. You are also going to need to be completely clocked up. And the other oil node was here. Oh, just like that. Okay. We could just do like this. And knit this together. I do like having redundancy in my power networks. So that means this area now has these guys set up for a total of 600 crude oil when I want to expand. Oh, this is a pretty big build here. If I start overclocking things to make it work, let's see, what happens if I... What happens if I do overclock these guys? So OC 250. Everybody's overclocked to 250%. So that would be 4 blenders, 1 blender making diluted fuel. Let's see, water is an input there and an input there, so we do not have a water loop. Yay, no fluid loops. So 4 blenders making turbo blend fuel, 1 blender making the diluted fuel, 1 refinery making petroleum coke, 4 refineries making heavy oil residue. This is actually a decent sized build. I am tempted to put in 16 fuel generators. Let's see, what if I overclock those to 200%? Does that give me a more interesting number? At 200%, it would be 18. That's an awful lot of things to overclock. So what we're going to do is I am going to not overclock the turbofuel generators themselves. And we won't overclock the diluted fuel or the coke. Because those aren't big. 4242. Let's not overclock this stuff either. So we ended up overclocking just the things that were really huge. 7 packagers, that's okay. I may round these up and do 4 refineries making plastic and 4 constructors making canisters and 8 packagers just to get round numbers, and I will then downclock them as necessary. I could do the math here. So 3 at 74%. What if we set the... Oops, which one is that? That's the constructors making canisters. You say OC70. Okay, that's 4. And packaged turbo fuel, OC90. There's 8. So 4, 4, 8. That leaves me with 36 fuel generators. I just dropped those down. I think it's cheaper to construct the fuel generators than to overclock them. Besides, I like seeing rows upon rows upon rows of fuel generators. It's kind of cool. If I was going to be placing the Fluxo blueprints, I would want to conserve. And that would be... Let's see. That would be like 16 of the Fluxo buildings. 4x4. That's not bad. Problem is, I'm out in the back end of nowhere here. I'm dependent upon building from the depot. And I can't bring in all of the concrete to make those builds. There. So there's our build. And again, we'll double that up when we need to. I don't want to double it up yet because we may do the other half as pure packaged or some different split. Figure out how much packaging we need and then rough it out from there. So this is going to be our new home for a bit. Anything I want to do here before I get started building? Well, that looks like a explodey rock we can explode. Oh, it's not. It's just a rock. It's not an explodey rock. And that is a irradiated guy. Let's encourage him to go elsewhere. And hopefully his corpse will despawn and he won't be radioactive anymore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a organization, where to go, radar tower. I know, I wasn't going to put any more radar towers in, right? Right. So this whole area now becomes this specialty base. I'll clean out the rest of that crap off camera. Now the generators, conceptually, where do I want the generators? I want them on a big old floaty thing. I'd like to make a big imposing building, but I don't know how to do those. We have a beautiful wall there with waterfalls. I don't want to hide that. But let's see. How about, first of all, we start with bringing up our oil and, well, actually, let's start by putting in something resembling a base plate. So this guy is mostly flat. I'm going to make it completely flat. Is this my level? This may be my level. Okay, there's a 20 by 20 area with a landmark in the middle, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's see, I'm going to have my power be on corner rather than inside here. Oh, wait a minute, I need to do my power floors, don't I? Yes, I do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swoop that across there. And you are going to go away because we are going to use my floors with power underneath. And that's going to actually need to be raised a bit so I can get underneath and run the power. So what I'm going to do, I guess, is put in a 5x5 here. I'll put the power floor on top of it. So, blueprints. We have, oh, I did a base plate without corners for drone ports and such. It's kind of cool. It looks like that. Underneath it still has power. But what we want is the end of phase 4. 5x5 concrete slab with power. I think that's the right one. I think that's an older blueprint. Let's put it down and see what we've got. Let's see. I point my nose in like that. There we go. What I'm hoping is that gives me the ability to get underneath this floor and get the power connected. Otherwise, I have to place them in a row and run down the row connecting power that way. Well, I suppose I could do that. So the question is now, where is my power coming from? So I don't completely destroy my power grid while I'm doing this. I suppose I can connect the power in one place here and start laying these out and then have the grid come in wherever it needs to be. So blueprint, blueprint. So we're going to redirect you to get your power from here. Run you guys out this way. Yeah, I'm going to fill up this whole area with these guys. These guys are supposed to have power. Haha, I severed the power to him because it's really coming from somewhere else. He's got power. But this guy's got power. Did not connect here. There we go. I'll come back off camera and make sure everything is completely connected, but I do need to get some stuff connected so I can continue flying around and building today. Okay, starting from here. You connect. I know. I don't have to creep up on these guys, but... let's do it anyway. So I'm hoping that the wildlife doesn't respawn under my power floors. But if it does, well, that gives us a nice constant source of biological material. Else I need to cut so far, I think... I want to get this clean as I go. We're going to end up with this guy coming out of the middle for no particularly good reason. Let's eliminate that power connection by bringing it up from down here. In fact, if I bring up this corner, is that about the right height? That's about the right height. I want to clip it on there. That's wrong. There we go. down to here. And I am going to bring my power lines, bring all 4 of them down to emphasize that this is a major power connection. And they will despawn. There. Radar tower goes here. Grab his power. There, I guess. You can get your power. Let's give you a nice, good connection here. Midpoint. That didn't work out. You're going to connect to there, and you're going to go away. And you're going to go away. I don't know what I'm going to put up top here, but let's give us some power floor. I am probably going to run myself out of concrete if I'm not careful. I'll have to watch that. I want you to be on the center point like that. The way I did that was I middle-clicked on one of these to pick up the wall outlet. Then I selected the wire, click on the wire, and then you can place this and it will reroute it to be through there. What I'd really like would be to have these at the corners and have the rule on blueprints be if you overlap 2 blueprints and the overlap is all identical items, then they just connect. But we do not have that. Blueprints do not automatically connect with each other, and that I believe was confirmed to be intentional and will not change. I think their vision is that a blueprint is like a building, and you hook up things between buildings, so yeah. As said, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with the mezzanine level, but that's where it is, and we are going to be hooking you up to one of these guys. Let's just connect you like that. You can go away. So occasionally we get this highlighting, which is normally notes something that we're in the middle of deleting, and I don't trust it. What I do is I do a group delete and I highlight things around it and then I hit escape and it goes away. There we go. So here's our upper area where we can put something. Oh, I know what I can do up here. I'm going to put my drone ports up there. So we will send things up above to go to the drone ports. You just have the one connection, so you can go away. You are going to connect up to the power floor. I think there was a slug or something down there that I picked up. Now, if I just knit these together 4 ways, when I add a row, that's probably faster. Like, I can do this really fast. Actually, I'm not going to do the edges. I'll just do these 4 ways in the middle for now. I can come back and redo the edges later because then it'll just be one periphery around the edge. One more row, I think. Yeah, one more row. Seems a shame that it took me most of the floor layout before I decided on that strategy. Okay, and you are going to connect to there. So you can go away. And we're just doing the ones in the middle. I can probably remove my map marker at this point. You can go away and you can get your power from here. So my intention is not to make this whole big area one building. What I want to do is have a foundation like this and put smaller buildings on top of it. That makes sense. The idea is that these foundations are actually the bottom of the subfloor. So when I put a blueprint on top of it, it will be a layer here for the subfloor logistics, and then the main floor where we've got the fluids going around, and then a super floor for the refineries and such that have a super floor. Yeah, we got power here. So is that our... Let's go pick up this guy. There's our oil. And we're going to need to pump him up here somewhere. I'm going to leave this little area opened out, but I am going to get rid of this. There we go. Do I want one more row of subfloors over here? What would it look like? It would clip into there. Let's not do that. So, with all that done, now I can look up at my checklist there. And where is my crude oil going? Crude oil is going into 4 refineries to make heavy oil residue. So I'm going to bring it up to here somewhere. Blueprints, ending phase 4. And I don't know, yeah, I've got the BB refiner. This is the unconfigured refinery. 4 refineries making heavy oil residue. Configured groupings. Let's put a blueprint designer in here and let's start getting groupings going for this. How about I put the blueprint designer right here? Special. Blueprint designer Mark II. Surfaces too uneven. Okay, well, we'll have to move it in until the surface is no longer too uneven. Interesting, that's letting me pull it all the way back here. Where can I put it? Oh, it's letting me nudge it to where the surface is too uneven. Interesting. Okay, so here, it's letting me put it here. That's centered, that's good. That works. Our first blueprint, I want to set up BB refinery. I put 4 refineries in parallel, making heavy oil residue. We are in blueprint mode. Next to you, and next to you. And we are going to be overclocking you, so you are making residue. There we go. You're going to be overclocked. Let's check and make sure everybody's configured. Heavy oil residue. Okay, heavy oil residue has a fluid input and fluid and solid outputs. Logistics, we are going to have conveyor belt on 2, hole on 3, lift on 4, merger on 5. So, front, this is the input side, so no solid input here. Kill the 4 floor holes on this side, which will kill the lifts. And the input is crude oil. So I'm going to go to my second hotbar, and we're going to clear this guy out. He's going to be our painting bar. So I'm going to start with putting the swatches on. We've got all those colors to work with. Fine, you are crude oil. Just like that. Heavy oil residue and polymer resin out the back. So heavy oil residue is 7. And on the bottom floor, we will have our polymer resin, which is our byproduct. Now down here, let's get rid of the walls that were used for alignment of the original refinery. I am going to rework the power a little bit. So these outlets go away. End up with these 4, so we're going to connect these 4 together. And they will connect out to the corners. Clean pipeline Mark IIs to connect these up in parallel. And I'm going to need to paint these as well. If you don't paint it, they don't work right. Go. And these all need to merge together. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of turning these and doing weird things, I'm going to my mergers out here. I think oh, that's the wrong place. Oh, that means I have to leave yeah. It's underneath. What happens in the subfloor stays in the subfloor. And I believe this means we do have to place those again for it. Sure. I'm noticing these are using Mark IV lifts. Must be an old recipe. I use Mark V for everything now. And you guys, I can bring you out front or back or sides. So nominally, this is our input side. Okay. And this is our output side. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these toward the middle. The idea being that we would have a belt striping down the middle, which would then collect up the byproducts. There. And now here we can bring it left, we can bring it right, we can bring it to a merger, we can bring it to a splitter, we can bring it out the back. I could even kill that and put in one facing the other direction to have it come out the front, which I don't think is going to be usual. Okay, so now I need to put in the 2 floors. Foundations. Foundation. I'm going to put a 4 meter in the corner. And then we're going to go 1 meter and zoop. And I'm just going to do this from below because it's going to be easier. Now this is going at the same level as the original floor in the original blueprint. Got taken out because we wanted to redo the floors always. So our holes are going through the foundations properly. And now I want to bring this floor up a little bit. So we're going to go here. I'm going to say, oh, come on. Why is this doing this to me? I'm going to go default, default, and now we're going to go zoop. Now I would refrain from placing any of these that are completely within the refineries, but I believe, I believe that all of these are not completely within a refinery. And that gives us our nice, clean upper area. Now, when we place these down and implement them and connect them to other things, that's when we will decide what walls to put up, if any. The power. I want to set up my power so that it's got the normal boops on the corners. We're going to hook both of these in because redundancy is good. And then I'm going to put in power poles on the top. And why was this not doing it? I don't know. I guess I have to be inside. So the only connections to these power poles in the blueprint are going down, so we can use them to provide power, if we don't have access to the subfloor. Or we can just delete them once we get things put in place. There is our heavy oil residue. And what we want to do is we want to put this in here under I'll put this in petroleum base. BB heavy oil residue. This is for refineries configured for heavy oil residue at 250% overclocking, turning 300 crude into 400 HOR and 200 per minute resin. Heavy oil residue. We are going to do a save blueprint. And I'm going to go put one in place. Make sure it looks good before we commit to it. So our input is from the right. Our power connects downward. Everybody's in the green. Heavy oil residue, 100, 100, 100, 100. That gives our 400 heavy oil residue. There's the output. That merger sends our stuff under there, and our crude oil comes in the back. That is correct. So let's put this in place. Heavy oil residue now goes in here in the petroleum base. I'm going to put it early on. In fact, I'm going to put it at the front. Just like that. I have a bunch of other thingies here that I've been tinkering with. I reworked some of my old main base stuff because we desperately needed more copper to support what we were doing. I wanted to leave the main base useful. I don't think I actually used this ever. I was experimenting with, can I put 4 fuel generators in the blueprint? And yeah, I confirmed that you can indeed fit 4 of these fuel generators, but there isn't really room to run the fuel nicely. So if you run the fuel double-decker like that, it's nice. But that's butt ugly. I would rather overclock the Fluxo layout than have something like that. So here's the first kind of building thing. Now, I made a mistake. I set up my 5x5s. I didn't leave any space in between them for like other parts of a building. So I am going to have to spread these out. You know, like leave these areas empty around them, so I can later on put a building core around it. Heavy oil residue is done. So the next one is we have 2 blenders making diluted fuel and 2 refineries making petroleum coke. Why don't I do 4 refineries making petroleum coke at 41? So let's see, this is going to be petroleum coke OC 45. There we go. He's done. So we're going to do the same thing again. This time it's going to take in heavy oil residue and turn out petroleum coke. So it's a simpler layout. I'm just going to start from this and edit it down. And I'm going to start by doing a save here as BB Petroleum Coke. I'm going to set up the text first. Petroleum Coke at 41.667% OC, turning 66.667 per meter HOR. First time I use it, I don't want to put in the abbreviation. Into 200x 200 per minute. So this just purely heavy oil residue into petroleum coke. And we want to configure it for an output of 50 per minute. Hold on. Oh, this is going to be wrong until we've got some power in here. It's normally 20s. This is 5,000 divided by 120. Yeah, this target production rate is going to be wrong until we do something. Backing out and coming back in. There we go. So these have liquid input and a solid output, and they have no liquid output. So I can keep all of this. The liquid input is going to be the heavy oil residue. So we just paint this. There is no liquid output. That. Carefully pruning it, and he has just that output. I'm going to do other way here. We're going to put the merger in so it presents the output toward the output direction. And again, this will be flexible. We can either bring it directly out the front, this, which should be the default. Alternately, I can turn it one way or the other, or I can put a merger in there and have a grand belt going through one way or the other. And I just realized I didn't paint the refineries. So these refineries are for Petroleum Coke. So they are Petroleum Coke color. These refineries are building purple stuff, so you are purple color. So your output on this side is going to get routed back around to his input. I'm not going to put you next to him. I'm going to space you out a bit. In fact, I'm going to put you. Oh, wait a minute. I am going to move my power floor for the next guy over a bit. So instead of being here, I'm going to do default placement. I'm going to give you, can I do 2.5? Here. Okay. So what I want to do here is do this 1 meter. That. But do I really want to do it? If I do it 2.5, it's going to make that kind of awkward. I don't do stuff off grid very often. Let's do it. Do that, and then this half width down the middle, I'm going to put in a half foundation in asphalt. That. Okay, now here we can put our new blueprint. So now we hit a save. Blueprints, BP Petroleum Coke. We have our input coming from the right. Now, the blueprints output thinks it's going to come out the middle here. We're actually going to snake it out one side or the other. We'll figure that out when we decide where to put our next building. So that's got some breathing space. We could put something around this as a building, something around that as a building. build up this area in the middle maybe a bit. Now, that center power area does not have power. I need to snake power to this corner. Oh, come on. F, R. Wall outlet Mark II, and I'm going to put it here. You're now hooked up. How did he get a Mark I connector on him? There. You guys are configured. You're Petroleum Coke. You are locked down. I could have made a smaller building. I don't know. I kind of like the consistency. And now we need to bring our product over. What I'm going to do is, just for fun, I'm going to bring it over exactly at the midpoint. If I can. Well, that's too close, I think. Is it? So clean pipeline Mark II. Well, it's not aligned. Can I connect from where to there? Yes, I can. Oh, okay. Here we go. You. Kind of tricky getting it connected up. I was fiddling around with the positioning mode. Will make it better. And I am going to make this. Well, let's put a indicator in there. Oh, blorp! I got it on the wrong place over here. Oh. Oh, really? Wait a minute. Oh, right. Yeah, I just picked the wrong intersection. There we go. Pipeline Mark II. And now we paint. You are purple. Purple, 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 purple. Purple and purple. Yeah, I could have joined the existing ones, but I wanted to center it here. So this is still the subfloor. This area up here, this floor here, this is the level where I'm going to want to walk around. So I actually do have some margin on the front and back on these guys. I think I can remove this. So I would like at this point to start things moving. I need to come out of here, out the back, out this way, and go down. I think I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come out right dead center. Dead centered. On here. Get the blue line going. Okay, so for the downward, you need to come straight out, level from here, and then head downward about here-ish. Okay. I'm going to put a hole in here. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to look. And let's put a indicator on you so I can see that we're getting crude oil in. And you are going straight down. Let's see, I want power and walls on you. So we're going to pick this guy up. We're going to put you here. And you are going to come out to here. And we're headed that way. Okay. We're going to bring 4 walls down from here, so it doesn't really matter which one we do first. I'm going to do concrete basic walls to start with. And apparently we're doing these walls like this. This distance is 10 by 4 is 40. So I've got plenty of headroom here. I'm going to put in a Mark II pump at the bottom. And get him to properly fit in. I think there. Logistics. Mark II pump facing upward. I want to put you in fairly low, not too low. That. And my wall is not quite in the right place. I'll have to clean up the walls later. I'm going to put it here. Still not quite in the right place. Right there. That looks right. So the wall outlet needs to be over him to pick up. Go along that back wall here. Oh, I should have turned him around. Oh well, that's good enough. We'll leave an indicator on the upper part so we can see where we're going. He has power. Oh, we're going to zoom this down. We take these two. And we have some glass windows I can put in somewhere. Is there in walls? There we go. Nice frame windows. Boop. You can see what's going on in there. We do it again. So where is this? This is on that line. Boop, right there. And you were there. Logistics. You pump. Sure you're aligned. You're good. Pipeline Mark II for the upper part so we can see what's going on. Should probably put in some more windows. We can actually see those. Yeah, let's put in some more windows here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What, these two? Oh. There. So we've got a window to look at the pump and a window to look at the valve, and it's all encased. And this guy needs to get up to here. I could do that with a pipeline Mark II in horizontal or vertical mode. Yeah. And this is coming out right dead center on here, so we here. Like that. And I just realized I totally forgot to paint this stuff. So crude oil. Starting from the bottom, you are crude oil. Boom, boom, boom. This isn't going to go very far because I need one more pump down below. I painted this guy by mistake. That's all right. See him. Step through the window and that'd be okay. So down here, right here, is gonna be where I'm going to put in this pump. You're kind of halfway in between these two and that. And these are now going to get their power. So you are now pumping 300 per minute. You are now pumping 300 per minute with a head lift of 36.8, under 40 meters. You're pumping just fine. You're pumping just fine. You are pumping just fine, and these guys should now be running. Doing a heavy residue and polymer resin. Polymer resin goes nowhere. So for now, I am going to just put a sink on him so he can continue running. There we go. It's tempting to put in a buffer, but I don't think it's necessary. I want to see if it is, so I'm going to leave it out. These guys should now be turning out Petroleum Coke. And again, I am just going to bring it out to a sink for now so we can see what it's doing. There. I can connect there. This guy connect up to here. These sinks are very temporary, since they will be sinking the output of the factory that I want to actually use. Okay, so we now have our resin and our petroleum coke being produced. And I think now is a good time for me to take a break, and I will come back and continue onward with the next phase. Boom. There we go. I will see you in the next recording.